Many people worry about their phone batteries. They hear stories. Charging overnight is bad, they say. It will kill your battery. This is a very common fear. Lots of us have heard it from friends or family. Don't do it, they warn. You'll shorten its life. This belief makes people anxious. They simply want their expensive smartphones to last as long as possible. So, this concern about battery health is quite understandable. But the big question is it based on current facts, or is it just outdated information? This concern wasn't entirely baseless in the past, you see. Older battery technologies like nickel-cadmium or NiCd batteries definitely had their issues. They suffered from something called the memory effect. If you didn't fully discharge them before recharging, they'd effectively forget their full capacity. Early lithium-ion batteries also had much simpler charging circuits compared to what we have now. Overcharging was a more genuine risk back then. So, the advice to unplug your device once it was full actually made a lot of sense for that older technology. It's really important to remember how much technology has evolved since those days. The main worry people have is about battery degradation. They fear that continuous charging overnight will cause the battery to lose its ability to hold a charge effectively. They imagine the overall battery capacity plummeting after just a few months of this practice. This, of course, would mean needing to charge their phone much more frequently throughout the day. It could even lead to needing an early and often costly battery replacement. Nobody wants a phone that dies on them before the day is even over. This fear drives many charging habits, some of which are helpful, while others are not so much. But here's the crucial thing. Smartphone and battery technology have made absolutely huge leaps forward. The phones we use today, especially here in 2025, are far more advanced pieces of kit. They are not the same as the devices from 10 or even 5 years ago. Their internal systems for managing power and battery health are incredibly sophisticated now. So, we really need to ask ourselves, does this old advice about overnight charging still apply, or are we perhaps holding on to a myth that's no longer relevant in our modern tech world? Today's smartphones almost exclusively use lithium-ion, Li-ion, or lithium polymer, LiPo batteries. These are a massive improvement over older battery types. For a start, they don't suffer from that pesky memory effect we talked about. They are also much denser, which means you get more power packed into a smaller, lighter battery. Crucially, these modern batteries are paired with smart electronics. These electronics are collectively known as a battery management system, or BMS. You can think of the BMS as a tiny dedicated computer whose sole job is to look after your battery's health and safety. It controls everything about charging and discharging. Your modern smartphone is smart, genuinely smart. When you plug it in to charge, it fills up to 100%. But, and this is key, once it hits that 100% mark, the charging process effectively stops. The battery management system intelligently cuts off the power flow from the charger directly to the battery itself. What often happens then is the phone might start running directly off the charger's power, completely bypassing the battery. So it's not continuously forcing current into an already full battery all night long. This sophisticated process prevents overcharging, which was a legitimate concern with older, less intelligent devices. The BMS does a lot more than just stop charging at 100%, it constantly monitors the battery's temperature, which is super important. It also checks the voltage and current levels during charging and discharging. It even estimates the battery's overall health and state of charge over its entire lifespan. Some advanced BMS found in 2025 phones can adjust charging speeds dynamically. For instance, your phone might charge really quickly up to around 80%, and then deliberately slow down for the final 20%. This is all meticulously designed to protect the battery and extend its usable lifespan as much as possible. So what really happens when your phone is plugged in overnight in 2025? It charges to 100% as you'd expect. Then, the BMS steps in and manages the situation. The phone might allow the charge to drop a tiny bit, perhaps to 99%, and then top it up again very gently. This is sometimes called trickle charging, but it's very minimal and extremely well managed in modern devices. Or, as mentioned before, it might simply run on power from the mains. Many phones now also have features like optimized charging or adaptive charging. These systems learn your daily routine and cleverly delay charging the final portion to 100% until just before you usually wake up. So if overcharging isn't really the main issue with modern phones, what is? Well, it's important to understand that lithium-ion batteries still degrade over time. This is a natural chemical process. It's just how they work. Every single charge cycle, that is, going from empty to full and then discharging again, causes a tiny, almost imperceptible amount of wear. However, certain conditions can significantly accelerate this degradation. It's not really a question of your battery will degrade, but rather it will happen. And simple overnight charging by itself isn't the primary villain in this story anymore. We need to look at other factors. Heat is, without a doubt, public enemy number one for battery health. Lithium-ion batteries absolutely despise excessive heat. When a battery gets too hot, the chemical reactions inside it speed up. This can lead to faster degradation of its internal components, like the cathode and anode. Charging naturally generates some heat, that's normal. But if your phone is also in a hot environment, perhaps in direct sunlight on a warm dashboard or crucially tucked under your pillow where heat can't escape, it gets much worse. This combination of charging heat and environmental heat can seriously shorten your battery's lifespan. While your phone cleverly stops actively charging at 100%, keeping a lithium-ion battery at a very high state of charge, think 90 to 100%, for very extended periods, can also be a source of stress for it. Imagine it like a rubber band. Holding it fully stretched all the time will wear it out faster than if it's usually relaxed. For a battery, being at 100% charge constantly means it's sitting at a higher voltage. This higher voltage can slowly, over time, degrade the cathode material within the battery. This is different from overcharging, but it's still a factor in long-term health. It's a subtle stress, but it definitely adds up. Smartphone manufacturers are well aware of these stresses from heat and high states of charge. That's precisely why they've developed clever software features like optimized battery charging, which you find on iPhones, or adaptive charging available on Google Pixel phones, and similar systems on other Android devices. These systems learn your typical charging patterns and daily routines. For example, if you usually plug your phone in overnight, it might charge rapidly to 80%. Then it will intelligently pause charging. It will only resume charging to hit that final 100% mark just before your typical wake-up time. This smart trick significantly reduces the time your battery spends sitting at that full 100% charge. So, let's get straight to the point here. Is overnight charging actually killing your battery in 2025? The answer, for the vast majority of modern smartphones, is a pretty clear no. The idea that you're actively harming your phone's battery by leaving it plugged in all night is largely a myth. Your phone is far smarter than you might think. It's designed to prevent overcharging. It manages the power flow intelligently to protect itself. The horror stories you might have heard about batteries bloating or dying very quickly simply from being plugged in overnight are mostly relics of the past, or perhaps due to faulty hardware, not standard practice. That being said, if you want to be extra careful and really maximize your battery's potential lifespan, there are still some good practices you can follow. One popular tip that circulates is the 20 to 80% rule. This basically means trying to keep your battery charge level between 20% and 80% for most of the time. Avoiding very low states of charge and very high states of charge can reduce some of the stress on the battery chemistry. You don't have to be absolutely obsessive about it, but if it's convenient for you, it can offer a small benefit in the long run. Many phones now even include settings to automatically stop charging at 80% or 85%. The biggest practical tip for battery health is to avoid heat. Seriously, keep your phone cool. Don't charge your phone in direct sunlight for extended periods. Don't leave it on your car dashboard while it's plugged in, especially on a sunny day. And try to avoid charging it under your pillow or inside a thick, poorly ventilated case that traps all the heat. Using the original charger and cable that came with your phone, or at least a reputable, certified third-party one, is also a good idea. Cheap, uncertified chargers might not follow proper charging protocols. They could deliver inconsistent power or generate excess heat. In conclusion, you can generally sleep soundly. Plugging your modern smartphone in overnight is highly unlikely to cause any significant harm to its battery. These devices are engineered with sophisticated battery management systems specifically designed to prevent such issues. While extreme heat and constantly keeping the battery at 100% for very, very long periods, we're talking weeks on end, not just overnight, are not ideal, the phone itself does a lot to protect against this. Focus on avoiding heat, and if you really want to go the extra mile, use those optimized charging features or try the 20 to 80 approach. But the myth of overnight charging actively destroying your battery? That one's definitely busted.